After more disappointment in the Cup, getting knocked out on penalties by Spurs and the departure of my best defender Ep5 with the January transfer window around the corner, today we're going to be making some big signings to take this team to the next level. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And of course, we will be starting out with your comments. You should position change all your left midfielders and your right midfielders to wingers, and their ratings will go up, and then turn Alvarez into a centre-back and buy a defensive midfielder. So yes, this was the burning question at the back end of last episode. With the departure of Ep5 joining Liverpool when the January transfer window opens for a fee of £31.6 million. His departure will leave me with just two senior centre-backs, the 82 rated Mavropanos and the now 80 rated 21-year-old Ousmane Diomande, who only just joined in the summer. And with Edson Alvarez being my highest rated midfielder and having the versatility to play at the back, not just this suggestion, but so many of you have told me that I should potentially consider retraining him to be considered as a new centre-back. Now obviously at the back end of last episode I did take the decision to give him a bit of a trial run, move him into a centre-back position for a one-off game against Manchester United, but as you can see from the scoreline, we ended up losing the game and it wasn't a particularly good performance from the team. I've got to be honest, it felt like there was quite a gaping hole that was missing at the heart of my midfield, and it seemed like the 27-year-old Mexican struggled to adapt to his new position at his first time of asking this season. But of course, as ever, it's not up to me, it's up to you, and that's why I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to decide what I should do with the future of Edson Alvarez. Should I look to bring in a centre-back to replace the departed Ep5, or should I retrain Alvarez, put him into defence, and then bring in a central midfielder to replace him instead? However, it seems like the overwhelming majority of you are on the same page as me. You want Edson Alvarez to stay as a central midfielder, and instead you want me to bring in a brand new centre-back who can potentially challenge the likes of Mavropanos and Ousmane Diomande for a starting spot here at West Ham United. And with us only being a matter of weeks away from the start of the January transfer window, and with us still having £63 million plus the additional £30 million that I've got for a shirt in the transfer budget, I am very confident we can make a huge signing in the January transfer window. Love the career mode, man. If Guy Okeres gets injured or runs out of steam, I highly recommend Xerxes from my past experience of a West Ham career mode. Also, when James Ward-Prowse is 30-31, I recommend Fratesi or setting up a scouting network for an English playmaker. Regardless, a great career mode from an even better YouTuber. Well, firstly, thank you very much for the compliments. I really do appreciate it, and I really do appreciate your advice and everyone else as well. So starting off with the very good point around Victor Gyökeres. With him being 85 rated, not only is he my best striker, but he's one of the best players in the entire team. However, this season, his stats aren't a true reflection of his position in the squad. He's only scored 5 goals and 4 assists in 17 appearances in all competitions, only 4 goals in 14 Premier League appearances, and it seems like I can't quite get the best out of the big Swede so far this season. I've mentioned before with Michail Antonio, now 34 years of age, only 70 rated and retiring at the end of the season, clearly he's not putting enough pressure on the big Swede, and that once again I might need to bring in a new striker either when the January transfer window opens, or perhaps leave it until the summer so I can bring in a very big name signing. However, this man Joshua Xerxes is certainly someone who has been heavily recommended to me by several of you watching, and as you can see, with him now making the move to Brentford in the Premier League, I am sure now he's got Premier League experience, he will be very keen to make the next step up in his career. And with our London rivals struggling after 14 games in the Premier League, fighting relegation in 19th place, and with us now all the way up the top of the table in 4th, fighting for a Champions League spot this season, I think a move for the 23-year-old Dutchman could be a very realistic signing and one to keep your eye on as this career mode progresses. And finally, I think you need to do two up front, with the big man as a target man, with Kudus or Jared Bowen as the second striker getting in behind. Someone big in midfield as well, like Onana from Everton or the French midfielder Fofana to run the midfield and win the aerial balls. So once again, going back to my inability to get the best out of the big Swede Victor Gyökeres this season has led me to think that potentially I might need to switch up this 4-2-3-1 formation. And you know what? I think I'm going to take up your advice. So I'm going to move away from this more standard 4-2-3-1 formation into a 4-2-2-2. It's going to give Victor Gyökeres a striking partner to play alongside. And with Jared Bowen having experience in Season 1 playing in that false 9 position, I think he could be the perfect man for the job. Eze has experience playing in a central attacking midfield position and on the left-hand side of midfield, so I think this area of the pitch suits him perfectly, and it also allows me to shift Kudus back over to his more natural right-hand side. However, as you can see, with it only leaving me with two central midfielders, I've got to make sure that they are commanding at the heart of my midfield. And whilst James Ward-Prowse is my club captain, with him only being 80 rated and 30 years of age, he's highly unlikely to improve any further. And whilst I signed Kiernan Dewsbury Hall in the summer, his performances haven't truly reflected, warranting him a starting spot ahead of my club captain. And so I definitely agree with you. I think somewhere along the line I'm going to have to consider making some big moves to try and improve the centre of my midfield. This man, Youssouf Fofana, was your recommendation, with him him being 25 years of age and 83 rated, there is a guarantee that he would improve my midfield. However, with him playing for the Italian giants Inter Milan, would he want to make the move to West Ham United at this point in his career? And as for Ahamadou Onana, I know from my Everton career mode, only a couple of career modes to go, that he will turn into an absolute monster here on EFC 24. And with him being 23 years of age and now moving away from the Premier League out to Augsburg, I'm sure he will be absolutely desperate to move back to England as he's heading into the prime of his career. Another one to look out for as the career mode progresses. Now with this newfound formation set up, it's time to see what impact it has on our performance. And it seems like it's helping us in the right direction, as after beating Nottingham Forest 3-2 at home with Gyökeres getting on the score sheet, we follow it up with another big win, this time 3-1 away from home against Leeds United. And it's 3 victories on the bounce as we follow it up with a 2-1 win in the Europa League against St. Pat's. And with that win, securing our spot top of the group in the Europa League, and the back-to-back wins in the Premier League lifting us back up into 3rd place, now just 5 points off the league leaders Manchester City. It is the Manchester Giants whom we're going to be facing off against up next in our very next game at the London Stadium. What a titanic clash it's going to be in front of our home fans, and it's going to be a real opportunity for us to try and see if we can show we have what it takes this season, not just to qualify for the Champions League, but potentially start to mount a Premier League title challenge. And it's an opportunity to see how I fare under this new formation. As you can see, it is a return to my strongest starting 11 with Areola in goal, Van Aywick, Diamande, Mavropanos and Tierney at the back, James Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in midfield, with Kudos and Eze playing behind the double strikers of Victor Gyökeres and Jared Bowen. It's Van Aywick out wide on the right-hand side, unmarked, to bring it down the line and looking for a nice little ball into Kudos, who takes it really nicely and lays it back into the path of Jared Bowen now. And the Englishman is going to try and skip his way into the penalty area, but he's just blocked off by the Manchester City defence. It falls out to James Ward-Prowse, who loses it to Kovacic in a dangerous position. And now City are going to try and see if they can lead the charge away as Haaland manages to get there ahead of Diamande. It's now Van Aywick who's frantically trying to track back here to keep up with the big man, and he's done enough, just about enough, to put him off as Mene Diamande manages to win the second ball and feeds in Gyökeres, who's going to try and lift this one over the top into Van Aywick. The right back has been absolutely everywhere so far in this game, and he's going to continue. Can he try and find his way into the box? No, he can't. John Stones intercepts well. But already this game feels like it's going to be an end-to-end battle here. What on earth was I doing with the goalkeeper? I was trying to dink that one over to Diamande, and Areola got it all wrong, but Bernardo Silva with the strike in the end. Diamande just about came across the cover, and the goalkeeper breathes a huge sigh of relief here as Manchester City have got a corner inside the opening 16 minutes. It's floated in. James Ward-Prowse heads it away, and Eze will get onto the loose ball now. And can the Englishman try and see if he can open up a run here down this left-hand side? He's got the pace to try and get away from Bernardo Silva, and he's just going to continue all the way down. Doesn't really have too many options, so I'm going to try and see if I can float it right across to Jared Bowen. In the end, it's John Stones who manages to head it away. It was really Victor Gyökeres who I needed in that spot at that time. City, though, are going to look to counter-attack once again with Haaland, but this time James Ward-Prowse. Clearly, he's heard the rumours around his future here at the club, and he's put in a really good challenge in what has been a fairly decent performance from him so far. Jared Bowen picks it up once again on the right-hand side, floats it back in, looking for Kieran Tierney at the back post. Can't find him. Diamande into Alvarez. End-to-end stuff here at the London Stadium so far in the opening 30 minutes here. Jared Bowen on the right-hand side yet again. Once again, he's going to float it back in. This time it's Ruben Diaz with the head away. Kudos tries to win it. Gyökeres does, and he just gets bundled off in the end by John Stones. Bernardo Silva out to João Cancelo, tries to play it down the line. It's intercepted well by Kieran Tierney, and now we have it once again. James Ward-Prowse into Jared Bowen, who once again has come into that deep false 9 position. Gyökeres picks it up now, tries to see if he can run all the way out to the right hand side, feeds in a lovely little ball into Van Aywick, who tries to dink it across to the back post, and Jared Bowen is there, and he gets right in with a wonderful header at the far post to give us a deserved 1-0 lead here at the London Stadium. Well, that is free-flowing football if I've ever seen it. Van Aywick has been absolutely electric down that right hand side, and that is a perfect cross into the back post, and Jared Bowen playing in that attacking position just like he did in the first half of Season 1, popping up once again, getting his goal and giving us a 1-0 lead. João Cancelo for City, though, almost every man aside from the City goalkeeper inside our half as they look to try and see if they can strike back with immediate effect here as Kevin De Bruyne is trying to wriggle away from the challenge of the big Swede, and he's done just that really nicely. Lucas Paquetá, the former West Ham United player, feeds it into Haaland, who absolutely balloons it over the bar. Well, Lucas Paquetá on his return back to the London Stadium, almost getting an assist for his troubles, but at the moment it looks like we could be on for another assist and another goal as Kudos now has an opportunity to try and feed it into the box here. Can I try and see if I can find Eze at the back post? It was well intercepted by João Cancelo, but Gyökeres manages to get on the loose ball. In the end, the referee blows for half-time. It's Bernardo Silva here at the start of the second half, feeds it into Kovacic into the box now. James Ward-Prowse tried to come across Areola, though, just about manages to get the block, and Kieran Tierney just gets there ahead of Haaland. Now Cancelo, the right back, under a bit of pressure from the press from Eze here, and Jared Bowen winning it back from John Stones, and now now. The Englishman has the chance to run into the box here. The Portuguese, Ruben Diaz, couldn't get there, but Ederson did. And that is a huge opportunity we've missed. Well, with the confidence Jared Bowen has now playing up front once again, I really thought he was going to bury that one, but frustratingly enough, he didn't. And in games like this, these are chances we have to take as Gyökeres goes and balloons a header over the bar. The fans, they can't believe it. Van Eyck yet again down the right-hand side, tries to feed in Kudos, but it's a good interception by Sergi Gomez. And now they can bring this one forward. Rodri, he's got options. He finds an option on the left-hand side, and Jack Grealish and Van Eyck, who's absolutely shattered after running up and down the flank, the entire game, couldn't track back, but eventually we do manage to get the ball clear here with Jared Bowen. Feeds it into Kudos. End-to-end stuff here. Since this switch to this 4-2-2 formation, I feel like every time we go forward, we're going to potentially score. As Kudos brings it forward into James Ward-Prowse. Gyökeres takes it on his left, tries to feed in a shot. It's off the bar and it's just over the line. The big Swede has doubled our lead here on the 70th minute at the perfect time. Well, once again, it was an absolutely lightning counter-attack, and the goal line decision clearly shows that the ball did cross the line as Victor Gyökeres gets his first goal of the game. 2-0 West Ham. 83 minutes on the clock. Manchester City have a throw, and it looks like John Stones is going to try and take this one long. It's floated in. What on earth was Erling Haaland doing there? Thank you very much, doing my job for me. Sends it all the way back to the edge of our half, and Lucas Paquetá now tries to bring this one forward, dinks it through, and Doku's gone and done the exact same thing. What on earth are Manchester City doing? Their attack has been so disjointed here today as Jared Bowen's going to try and float it over to his attacking partner, and having two up front, and this is exactly why it gives us that sort of opportunity. But in the end, we couldn't quite take advantage. Some tired legs here as Manchester City now going to try and see if they can catch us on the counter-attack. It's Jack Grealish going on and one with Van Eyck. Turns back into the centre. This time it's Alvarez who comes across in the centre of the park. Wins the ball back really nicely. Van Eyck into Jared Bowen. Into Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres now into Somerville on as a substitute. Floats it around the corner into Jared Bowen. Van Eyck now gets it, but it does not matter because the referee blows for full time. Well, I thought we were potentially going to be on for a third goal there and a third lightning counter-attack, but Ederson cannot quite believe what he has witnessed. Manchester City here today have been so poor, but I've got to be honest, I think it's because of our quality. That man Victor Gyökeres getting back on the score sheet once again, along with Jared Bowen, to give us a 2-0 victory at full time. And not only do we manage to keep a clean sheet against the Manchester Giants, but it's also now brilliant to see our two attacking players getting on the score sheet. Jared Bowen back to the position that he performed in oh so well at the beginning of season 1, getting his 9th goal in the Premier League so far this season. And Victor Gyökeres once again returning to the goal scoring charts. Having that extra partner up front seems to be doing the big Swede wonders, and seems to be doing our point tally in the Premier League wonders as well, as we have now reduced the gap at the top to just 2 points. There is 3 points separating the top 4. My word, what an electric Premier League season we have on our hands. And with an Arsenal team breathing down our necks in that fight for the Champions League spots this season, once again we're going to be returning immediately back to the football, as that man Kieran Tierney is going to be returning to the scene of his former club, as we're going to be heading to the Emirates for another huge game, this time in London, and another one that hopefully we will get a huge and much needed 3 points from. And based off that wonderful performance against Manchester City, all of the players in the starting 11 keep their spots, and we hope to continue our fine form. And it is that man Kieran Tierney who picks it up at the start of this game on the left hand side of defence, feeds it in to James Ward-Prowse. Nice little turn to try and get away from the defenders, feeds it back out to an unmarked Kieran Tierney here, who can try and bring this one forward, manages to go past a couple of challenges and feeds a lovely ball into Eze, who cuts it back into Gyökeres, who ends up dragging his shot out for a throw-in. Ramsdale for Arsenal clears that one away, only out as far as the big man Diamande, who seems to be coming of age in a West Ham United shirt so far, and now Eze picks it up once again into James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse is going to look right over to the right hand side, and that is a wonderful ball to Van Eyck, who floats it back across into the back post, but Gyökeres was nowhere to be seen. Does manage to keep hold of the ball though. Kieran Tierney once again back over to James Ward-Prowse, lines it up on his right, but will get a corner for his troubles, and this time he's going to try and see if he can look to float this one into the box, right into the penalty area. I was looking for Gyökeres, but didn't manage to find him. Diamande, will win it. James Ward-Prowse gives it back to Jared Bowen, and Jared Bowen looks to release the Englishman once again, checks back into the box. I was looking for the ball into Eze, I believe, but couldn't quite find him, and Arsenal clear their lines. Saka just manages to burst past his former teammate Kieran Tierney there, really nicely done, and the Englishman will continue his run, but Diamande with a big crunching challenge. That's exactly the sort of defensive challenge I want to see from the big man, as Alvarez tries to win the ball back. In the end, crunches into about 2 different challenges, but doesn't manage to win it. Diamande does, though. Brilliant defending yet again, and is this going to be a coming-of-age performance from the young man? Jared Bowen now floats it back over to Eze, and once again we're looking so dangerous on the counter-attack. Eze tried to play it into Gyökeres, but Gabriel won that one really well, read it fantastically. It's Kai Havertz Havertz into Emil Smith-Rowe. He had the strength just to shove off the challenge of Van Ewig. Doesn't have the wherewithal to pick out his man though. Mavropanis almost gave it away, but Alvarez picks it back up into Jared Bowen now. He releases Kudos down the right-hand side, and Kudos is going to try and see if he can look for a run, but instead goes for the overlap of Van Ewig, and Van Ewig has options in the box here. Can he find any of them? James Ward-Prowse heads it down into Gyökeres, and it's a goal here, but is the referee about to blow for offside? It looks like he is, and frustratingly the scores remain 0-0. Well, I was actually looking for a ball into Victor Gyökeres, but in the end Van Ewig didn't time it perfectly. Neither did James Ward-Prowse. He didn't time his run, and it was, well, it could have been offside, it could have been a foul either way, but frustratingly I thought Gyökeres was about to score another one, but it remains 0-0. Kai Havertz for Arsenal tries to get away from Diamande. This man is on an absolute tear as he tries to press Arsenal so high here. It's now Emil Smith-Rowe down the right-hand side, feeds it back into Gabby Jesus, cuts it back into Havertz, who goes into the box. That is a wonderful finish from the German, and Arsenal take an unlikely, and some would say an undeserved, lead here. Lovely play from Arsenal, but the finish from Kai Havertz was absolutely sensational. On the left boot, just on the outside of the foot, just curled it round Areola, who had absolutely no chance whatsoever. Lovely finish. 1-0. Mavropanis to try and bring this one away, but loses it to Sambi Lokonga in a really dangerous position. Diamande's going to try and come across here. Has he done enough to win the ball back? In the end, he did do enough just to put off the striker who ballooned his strike over the bar. Saka now down the right-hand side at the beginning of the second half. Manages to get away from Tierney and almost feeds it into Gabby Jesus. An early header and an early chance for Arsenal to keep us on our toes. Declan Rice for Arsenal feeds it into Saka. Saka turns away from the challenge of Eze, and now a space to run into in the centre here. Alvarez frantically trying to come back here to put a challenge in. Does just enough. Good defending in the end, but then goes and gives the ball away. Straight back to Saka. Into the goal scorer Kai Havertz. Diamande does enough just to hold him up. And in the end, it goes out for an Arsenal corner. And it's one that the danger man Saka will take. We haven't exactly started off this second half in particularly good form. It's floated in. Kieran Tierney, the former Arsenal man, heads it away, but not very far. Gabby Jesus has it once again. Diamande comes across though. Does enough to hold him up. Saka now into Sambi Lokonga. Saka gets it back. It's into Gabby Jesus. This time it's Kudos who puts the block in. And I think, yes, the offside flag is up. Diamande to bring it out of defence. Finds Alvarez into Van Ewig. We've got to try and see if we can do something a little bit better here as we've started off this second half really poorly. And with passes like that, it is evident that we are not at the races so far at the beginning of the second. As Alvarez tries to come across but doesn't challenge Emil Smith-Rowe enough. Havertz now into Sambi Lokonga. James Ward-Prowse though with the big challenge. And now we can try and see if we can utilise this counter-attacking prowess that we have as James Ward-Prowse floated over to the big Swede Gyökeres. He manages just about to hold on to the ball here. Can he do enough to just keep hold of possession and wait for the rest of the attacking players to come up? He does do enough. It's Alvarez now, all the way out to the right-hand side to Van Ewig. Van Ewig, can he find his man in the box? Chips it in, looking for Jared Bowen. In the end, he just lets it float over his head. And that's the best opportunity we've had so far in this half. Emil Smith-Rowe looking to go one-on-one with Diamande. He doesn't have the confidence to go past him though. And in the end has to go back to Declan Rice. And Declan Rice is being pressed here by Jared Bowen on the edge of their half. And Jared Bowen continues his run, tries to go past Gabriel, doesn't manage to. He's been fantastic at the back for Arsenal so far. And we just can't seem to find a way past this stubborn Arsenal defence as Emil Smith-Rowe plays it into, well, looking for Sambi Lokonga, but Mavropanis read it really well. And now Eze can try and bring this one forward. I was looking for the ball into Gyökeres, but Ben White with a huge challenge. If he hadn't made that one, I would have been clean through here. But once again, we win it back high. And once again, this time it's Kudos with this, but plays the wrong ball. And we just cannot quite seem to find the final ball in the final third so far this game. Emil Smith-Rowe round the corner into Gabby Jesus. Plays it back into Declan Rice. Goes central into Sambi Lokonga, and Arsenal have completely opened up my defence here at will. Kai Havertz tries to come across and forces Areola into another big save. And it's going to be Emil Smith-Rowe who's going to take the corner. We've got just under 5 minutes remaining on the clock here as Arsenal look to go short and just look to try and see if they can hold on to possession here. Somerville on as a substitute. Manages to put the block in, but Arsenal keep control of the ball with Emil Smith-Rowe on the edge of the box, trying to twist away from the challenge of Dewsbury Hall. In the end, feeds it out to Gabby Jesus on the edge of the box, floats it in. They've got another corner. And once again, it's Emil Smith-Rowe who's going to take deep into stoppage time here. It is looking more and more unlikely that we're going to be able to get the equaliser as it's headed away. Arsenal still pick the ball up. Kimmich now, the former Bayern Munich man, to pick it up, laying on a play for Declan Rice, who strikes from distance and gives Arsenal a 2-0 cushion they so desperately craved. A wonderful finish from outside of the box, and that is game, set and match here at the Emirates. Well, look at this. He was unmarked. He had all the time and space in the world to pick his spot, and my word, he did just that. Buried it into the top left-hand corner. The keeper had no chance, but for us, we stood off him too much, and that is really poor defending. 2-0. And frustratingly for me, the referee decides that will be the last kick of the game as the Arsenal players walk off the pitch in celebration. They know just how big of a result that was here today. As a full-time era finishes, Arsenal 2, West Ham 0. Well, all the good work against Manchester City is undone in our very next game. It means Arsenal close the gap to us in the fight for the Champions League spots to now just 4 points, and perhaps puts us back in our place and just shows that we're not quite ready for a title fight so far. And for me, whilst I feel like going forward I'm very comfortable with this formation, I think it does really expose us defensively and definitely goes to show that we certainly need an upgrade at centre-back. And so now, with us hitting the 1st of January and the transfer window officially opening, and with the departure of Ajerd leaving us now with £92 million to spend this window, it is now time for me to get down to work and try to decide who is going to be the centre-back that is potentially going to come in and hopefully revolutionise my defence for the second half of the season. And after going through all of the suggestions you've provided me with, I have come to a decisive decision as to who I'm going to bring in. He's a man who's racked up 37 appearances for his national team, Slovakia, and is really starting to make a name for himself out in the Dutch league. But with him entering his prime defensive years, he is ready to take his career to the very next step and finally make his move to the Premier League to play European football for an English giant. That is right, he's a left-sided centre-back who was heavily recommended by several of you and who has all the attributes to fit in to my new attacking system. It is going to be David Hancko to join West Ham United Football Club from Feyenoord for a fee of £38 million. And after getting £31.6 million for Ep5, we've essentially just paid slightly over £6 million net for his services. And my word, I am delighted we've done so. At 83 rated, he comes in and immediately becomes my strongest centre-back, and at 27 years of age and having experience playing at the highest level, he will provide some much needed experience that I need across my back line, and with him having all the physical stats needed to play this high pressing system, I am feeling very confident that my defence and the entire team are going to get a very huge lift from his signing. Now, with his arrival still leaving me with £51 million to spend, and arguably with me needing to make some more improvements both in central midfield and up front, once again I want to turn to you guys to make the decision as to who you would like me to see bring into the club. Should I look to bring in a central midfielder to try and see if he can displace James Ward-Prowse in the heart of my midfield? Should I look to bring in another striker who can provide some serious competition to the big Swede Victor Gyökeres up front? Or should I hold fire altogether, continue to put my faith in this squad for the second half of the season, and just hope that these are the players who are going to be able to get me over the line and to secure much needed Champions League football this season? Of course, let me know down in the comments below what you think. As for now though, it's time for this man David Hancko to make his long-awaited debut and his chance to impress the West Ham United fans at the London Stadium, as we're about to be facing off against the relegation-threatened Leicester City. And I've decided to make 2 changes to my usual starting 11. Of course, that man Hancko comes in at the back to partner Diamande, the other signing that joined only in the summer, and the other change is that Savio will come in on the left-hand side of midfield as he replaces Eze, who drops to the bench. So here we go then, against a team that are sitting rock bottom of the Premier League so far this season. I'm hoping and expecting a clean sheet here today, especially with the new signing Hancko, but at the moment Ariola's forced into an early save here as Leicester start off the game in better fashion than we do. Kieran Tierney though on the left hand side feeds a ball to James Ward-Prowse, who floats it right the way over to the right hand side. Really nicely done, and Van Ewijk took that one down really nicely, and he's got space here on the right hand side to drive into. Can I try and find a ball into the big Swede? Instead look for Jared Bowen, but it does fall to the big Swede. He tries to head it down. Jared Bowen tries to get on the loose one, but in the end Connor Cody with a brilliant challenge to release the ball for Leicester. It's Harry Winks now out to Ndidi, but he's blocked off by Kieran Tierney, and now we've got the opportunity to stretch our legs, and of course who else do we want to give that opportunity to but the speeds to Savio down the right hand, to the left hand side, bursts into the box, looking to cut it back here across the box into Gyökeres, and that is exactly why it was the right decision to put the young Brazilian back into the starting 11, because that is the sort of wonderful play he can bring to this West Ham United squad. Well, as soon as he was released down the left hand flank, you knew exactly what he wanted to do. Drove into the box, skipped past the challenge of 2 Leicester City defenders. He just had too much speed and guile, and he just fed it on a plate inside the 6-yard box for Victor Gyökeres, who is not going to miss from there. Another goal for the big Swede, and it's 1-0 here to West Ham United. Tierney into the assist maker Savio once again, who's looking lively so far in the opening 20-25 minutes here, and he's bringing the ball all the way into the centre here. This is absolutely wonderful play from the young Brazilian, and feeds it out to Van Ewijk down this right hand side. He's got the pace now to just get away from the defender, cuts it back in, looking for Savio. In the end it's flicked up, and Gyökeres just couldn't get on the end of that one. It's floated over by Wilfred Ndidi out to Prate on the right hand side. He's got acres of space here as he's beaten the offside trap, and he's beaten the run from Kieran Tierney, but the defender did a good enough job of winning that back, and James Ward-Prowse flicks it on to Jared Bowen into Victor Gyökeres. Now the big Swede has got the pace once again to get away from Ricardo Pereira, and Leicester City can do absolutely nothing here. I fire it into the box, in the end straight at the goalkeeper, and they just about clear their lines. Pratt for Leicester City plays it into Wilfred Ndidi, who cuts it back into Iheanacho. James Ward-Prowse Prowse, though, with a thumping challenge to win that one back. Really nicely done from the veteran Englishman. Now Kudos can try and bring this one central, but he's going to go back out wide to the right-hand side as he was getting a little bit boxed in, and he's got the pace here to get away from Christensen. Really nicely done, and this is absolutely wonderful skill here from the right wing, and cuts it back into Gyökeres, who just drags it wide. Well, it seems like both of my wingers are in full flight here, and I was so close to getting a second goal. Kudos, absolutely brilliant play down that right-hand side. He laid it on a plate for Gyökeres, who couldn't take advantage, and now it looks like Van Eyck has laid it on a plate for Ben Rama, but he's managed to win the ball back here, and he gives it once again into the flying winger here as Jarrod Bowen picks it up, looks to go out to the right-hand side, over to the Dutchman Van Eyck. Now he's going to try and see if he can go down this right-hand side. Going to try and see if I can look for the overlap. I managed to find the overlap. Kudos into the box, looking to the back post of Savio. Can't quite find him. James Ward-Prowse can't get on the loose ball either as Leicester clear their lines once again. Harry Winks out to Christensen on the left-hand side. Christensen weaving away from the pressure of Jarrod Bowen, but in the end goes and gives it away, and that's really, really poor from the left-back, who has been really, really poor and has been given the runaround so far this game by this man Kudos, and Kudos is going to try and see if he can float it in. Once again, I was looking for Savio, but it's just too many men in the box there for Leicester City. Indeed, trying to wriggle away from a couple of challenges as Connor Cody picks it up in the heart of the Leicester City defence. We've got just under 10 minutes remaining plus stoppage time, but you've got to admit at the moment, whilst we have been the better team, it still remains 1-0, but are we going to look to try and make a change to that as Jarrod Bowen plays it into Savio. Savio bursts into the box, looking for the cutback, finds the cutback, and it's Connor Cody off the line from a James Ward-Prowse shot that I thought was going to nestle into the back of the net, and once again Leicester just about managed to clear their lines. Ricardo Pereira under all sorts of problems, but he manages to wriggle away, really nicely done, but then goes and gives it away to Kieran Tierney, who plays it into Jarrod Bowen. Jarrod Bowen looks to play it into Gyökeres, and he just can't get on the end of that one. That's pretty much been the story of the game as the referee blows for full time. Well, it does not matter because it did prove to be the last attack of the game as the Leicester City players look to the ground and look to the skies in disbelief. I salute the West Ham fans as they've come once again to the London Stadium to see us pick up another 3 points at home. Full time here it finishes, West Ham 1, Leicester 0. And yes, we are going to have harder challenges than that as the season progresses, but it's wonderful to see us collect another clean sheet. The presence of the experienced David Hancko just seemed to settle the nerves at the back, and he seemed to form a very nice partnership with the youngster Ousmane Diomande. I'm hoping he can take the young Ivorian under his wing and hopefully help him to flourish into a world-class talent. As for us though, with us now just sitting 4 points off of our arch-rival Spurs, third place in the Premier League, and still having £51 million left in the budget with some big decisions to be made over the future of some of our players at this squad. Once again, let me know down below in the comments if you want to see any new player join West Ham United, as that will be that for the end of today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'll see you again next time.